Passing through the veil of mystery, seeking answers no one is brave to ask. This is Bound to Truth.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. I have Kathleen Tedder back on by popular demand. We just had a great fun last time where we made a two-parter because it was so much information together that she shared, and as she said before, she has a lot more stories to share. And she really messaged me, wanted to be specific on some of those additional stories that were really prevalent in her life. And so, hey, Kathleen, welcome back. How are you doing? How was your fourth? Hope you got plenty of sleep. Hope it wasn't too loud. What's going on
Thank
in
you.
your neck of woods?
Thank you for having me again. And
Sure.
today I would like to bring out the two most important spiritual, I feel, spiritual experiences that I've had, which I've given you that list of what I think in my life are more important than the abductions or the anything more. So we'll go
Let,
over that.
let's,
It was noisy. I was out here in the country in the rural land, and I was worried about the horse and the donkey out there. But we also had thunder and lightning with the fireworks here. So
oh, wow. That's a
it,
trifecta of consequences.
it's rained every day since I've been on this land since June 11th, except one. I don't understand. This isn't even Florida's wet season yet. The rainy season.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I was gonna ask if that was normal, but it's not.
No, it's not normal, not at
Okay.
all. But
Wow.
but it was good. It was wonderful and peaceful.
Okay, good.
Despite
Good. Good, good. So let's go and jump into it. Take over. Let's hear it. Let's tell the people the stories. Go for it.
I would love to. The one that I'm speaking of first is to me my most amazing and my most felt touching story of two golden orbs that appeared to me about, I don't know, seconds before a serious car accident. And they say, and I'd like to talk about that. My daughter, 2006, and my daughter was driving a brand new Honda Pilot, and I was the passenger. And it was about 5:10 in the afternoon, rush hour, and we were on the interstate heading south out of Tampa. She was going to my uncle's place to put his house on the market. She was in realty at that time.
Mhm.
And so we're in the car, and I could see on the opposite direction a lady looked like she dropped a cigarette and leaned over to pick it up. And when she leaned over, I knew instantly she was going to hit us. She was going to cross all the lane, cross the median or whatever, and hit us head on. And at that moment that I realized that, two golden orbs about the size of a basketball, both of them,
Mhm.
and these orbs were so beautiful. They were like moving and glowing, and they were the brightest gold. I've never seen gold as bright as what I was experiencing. And they were here between my daughter and I, and time slowed down right away.
Mhm.
And I sort of got two visions at the same time. One is that my daughter turned the wheel to try to avoid the lady, and we were rolling. The
Mhm.
other one was, I guess it was that they were showing me that how to survive it. And the one came over towards my ear right up next to me, and it telepathically said to me, tell your daughter to hold the wheel straight, not to turn it, not to turn the wheel, hold it straight. So I hollered over to Tiffany. I said, Tiffany, hold that wheel straight, don't turn it, we're about to get hit head on. And then she realized that's what was happening. She saw it then at that moment. And then that one kind of went pop and it disappeared. And the other one moved over towards my ear, and it said, turn your upper body as far as you can to look at your daughter. So I kind of did, as much as I could, I did like that. But my thinking at that moment was, oh my God, I'm about to die, and they want me to see my daughter as my last vision. And oh my God, I have angels here to meet me and greet me when I go. I was so impressed with their beauty and the love I was feeling from these two beautiful golden orbs. So I really thought this was it. There was no way out of it. We were going to get hit at doing 80 something miles an hour and boom.
Yeah.
So as it said that, it went pop and disappeared as well. So I had my body turned this way as far as I could. I opened my eyes as big as I could, and I just enveloped my daughter with my eyes. And then boom, we got hit, and I flew into the dash. My seatbelt did not hold me, and the air balloon or the airbag came out like a little balloon instead of like my daughter's, which popped real fast.
Right.
Mine came out like a little balloon. So I hit the dash, and it would have been my face and my neck had they not interfered. You see what I'm saying? I would have been dead. There's no way around it. With the belt not working and the airbag not working, face first right into the windshield and the dash. So they saved my life. And I never got over that. I mean, I didn't get knocked unconscious. I had a couple broken bones, double fractured my arm and, clavicle, different things, and my foot had to have some surgeries. But all I could talk about, I didn't go unconscious and I didn't hit my head. So everybody, the EMTs, the doctors, the surgeons, everybody had to hear about the golden orbs. And I'm sure they thought I was out of it or off of my rocker. I didn't care. I wanted everybody to know that there's a time where angels appear. In my opinion, those were angels of a certain type. Now later, with my QHHT that I've mentioned in the past with Dr. Melanie, I asked her to bring those up. I wanted to know more. They came through during my QHHT and gave me the message that when I transition, I'm part of them, and that's where I'll be going. I'll be one of them. I'll be one of those golden orbs. That's my home base, my home planet, my home color, my home something, and that took me by surprise. I mean, that really touched me because I have never seen anything or felt the love that they emanated to me during those few seconds that they were in my world. So that's why I say that's my most heartfelt experience of all of them was those two golden orbs, and knowing that someday I'll see them again.
Wow.
And I don't doubt that they're giving me messages every now and again. So they may be sort of guiding me at times, because I've been saved by a voice or two in my head. And now I'm wondering if it wasn't them,
Right.
or other angels. But I don't know. Anyway, it was something that I wish I could draw or put into a picture or vision to show somebody how beautiful these things were and how much they pulsated. I knew instantly they were live beings. I just knew that they were some kind of angelic beings, but not the angels we think of, just beautiful basketball sized orbs. And my daughter did not see them. She did not see them.
Yeah, I was going to ask that too, was if she saw them. And so to kind of reflect a little bit, so do you these two orbs, angelic, glowing, basketball size, pulsating. One of them was kind of felt like you're slowing time down. The other one was speaking to you and instructing you during the moment to kind of have you have like kind of focus. Is that what you kind of think what was going on? There was like a team effort there
Yes,
between those beings. Okay.
definitely. And my thinking was why two? I wondered why two? Why didn't one just give me all the answers? Tell me everything. I don't know. So it still fascinates me because I don't understand that, but I thought it was beautiful. I don't know. I have a lot of questions about that,
But why?
I hope,
How come there's how come one it wasn't why it was two and not just one? What is that the question, or is there more
yes.
depth to that question?
Well, yeah, why not just one? Why did it take two to do that? And I could see and feel that there were two different beings of their own. Like I said, one did put the message in and one did show me the visions and then come over and then tell me to turn my body. So yeah, it's very fascinating to me about those two.
Well, it's not unheard of. Like I'm hearing that I think of the story of Lot and Sodom and Gomorrah, right? Or even with Abraham with the instead of one angel, it was three,
True.
right? And I don't I see what you're saying. It's like, well, if there's all powerful beings, or that they're from the a realm that's not ours, why can't just one be enough? Who knows? purpose like anything else, right? It's just like like if it's like, why not have, why one mechanic or one person, why do you have to have four or five people? Who knows what maybe it's a relationship teamwork building thing. I don't know what the minds of the ultimate universe thinks in their progress, but it's pretty cool. You got a 2-for-1 deal. So
So I wanted to bring that one out, which we didn't get to talk about, because like I said, that to me is the most important one that I've experienced.
right,
Um,
right.
Not only, well, it turned out to be an 8-car involvement,
Oh,
and
jeez.
nobody else was hurt. I was the only one hurt, and my daughter didn't. She got a little tiny burn on her wrist, and maybe her knee hit the dash, but no injuries.
Well,
Um,
thank God for that not happening. No, there was no deaths. So, you know what? And maybe those were there to help facilitate the rest of those things that were going on.
I'm sure they were.
Yeah,
They
I mean,
probably left me and popped into the next car. Who knows?
yeah. Who definitely knows for sure. I mean, it's a wild hunch, right?
I
So,
remember the lady in the 8th car was pregnant, and I was all concerned about her, but I couldn't walk to go ask her if she was okay because my foot was broken. So,
oh,
but I found out she was fine.
okay,
Everything was.
good. So, did the doctor say anything besides you telling this over story? Like, this was a very lucky thing? Was it like, I don't know how you survived? Like, anybody kind of like looking and saying, no way. How did you live through that?
Well, my arm was broken in 2 places, a compound fracture. One of them was very sharp and pointed and could have very easily punctured through. But
Mm,
somehow I remote viewed my injuries, and I knew that if I let the EMTs manipulate my arm, or even in the emergency room, if I let go of my arm and let them do x-rays or do anything, if I let go of my arm at all, I was going to lose it. I just had that gut feeling, and sure enough, the surgeon said I saved my arm by doing that. And but I actually could remote view. I saw the sharpness of the part of the bone. And anyway, now I have some lovely plates in my arm and all is well.
boy,
Save.
hopefully you don't get thrown off by airports and the security protocol if you ever fly. But you're like, no, let's take my feet on the ground.
No,
Uh,
I've made it through those so far.
okay, good. Yeah, I have one in my ankle from nothing extreme like yours. Mine was oil slick on my motorcycle, and it was
Oh,
just in first gear, and I did the wrong thing and put my foot down and popped the ligaments
ouch.
off that. That was fun. I didn't know I needed surgery till 2 weeks later. I just put a boot on. I thought it was just a bad sprain, and my doctors are just like, "How the heck are you walking on this thing?"
Oh my,
I don't know.
yeah.
I was raised, if you're not dead, you're good, and just keep living and keep trucking. Oh God. So before going to your other stories, 2 questions. One, have you seen these orbs again at times recently, continuously, or is this kind of that one time event? And then two, anything else we're missing from that story that you want to share?
It was only the one-time event, except under hypnosis, I could see them and they were speaking to me clearly. So
Yeah, those.
but my eyes are closed under hypnosis, so I was seeing them in my mind's eye. But I did see them. Now, when I took the ETs, the photograph of the ETs out here on this ranch that I'm on, 3 nights in a row, I saw 2 ETs, a large one and a small one. And on the 3rd or 4th night, I went out about 11 o'clock and I had my camera and I said, would you please come close? And they did. And in my opinion, they look very gold. It looks very gold to me, the one that came close. So I'm wondering,
If it's those two.
yeah, I'm wondering about it. I'm really, I just don't know. Don't have that answer, but
How long ago was that?
oh, that was last May, I believe, when
Wow.
I
Okay.
didn't come close. But I asked it through well, around June 9th or so, we had a little retreat out here, some ladies, and I walked away from the crowd. We were doing CE5, but we were talking because we hadn't been together for a while, and it's 6 very psychic ladies. So I guess we were pulling in the powers of something. I don't know. And we each have gifts and we share and get together. And anyway, I walked away from the gals and I said, come on, show yourself. I know you're here. And sure enough, I got one. And then I said, come closer. And I got it on film. And then I showed the ladies later. So for some reason, they didn't want to come with all the action going on, but they came when I walked away and asked them to.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
so I had that on video.
Was it just more visual? Was there any type of telepathy, talking, or vocally at all?
No, I didn't pick up anything other than they heard me and they came, you know.
Mhm.
So, but they didn't give me an answer or any messages that I know of at
What
that
was
moment.
what was the presence you were feeling at that moment, seeing them? Was there at least some type of emotional presence, kind of that you can describe that maybe what they're reflecting toward to you in that sense?
Well, getting together, it took us several months of us gals having a time to get together. So I had a lot of love in my heart, you know, when you get together with people you love and you care for. So I
Yes.
had a lot of love going on in my heart, and I think that helped them come through.
Okay. Gotcha.
You know, just filled with my heart being open and in a good place, you know.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
I think that
Awesome.
helped.
Perfect. That's awesome. Here's a question I didn't ask you last time. You know, I get different answers or listen to different answers from people when it comes to um, interacting with the beings. You know, was there any like male or female or any of that, or any, can you even tell, or is it something that just doesn't exist? Just curiosity. I know it's hard. I can't say we can compare our genetics with, I mean, again, or maybe we are part. I have no idea, but any of that sorts you can tell, or
You
share.
mean the golden orbs? I felt like they were a couple, like a soulmates, like a
Okay.
married couple. Isn't that funny? I
No,
mean, that's
yeah.
what I kept thinking, that they belong together somehow. They were one, even though they were two.
Oh no,
Now I
that's a good point too,
maybe
because you did mention that they said that you're going to become, like, yeah, this is what you become part of, and that makes sense. That's, you know what, maybe you, that question's already answered in a way, possibly. So okay, all right, all right.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm not ready by any means. I'm not ready, and I'm not taking that step to ever go there on my
Right,
own, if you know what I
right.
mean.
That's a one
I'll
trip ticket.
hang on no matter what.
That's
But
a
I'm
it's a one trip ticket for sure.
right. But I'm so excited to know that I'll become a glowing orb that maybe I can go save a life. You know, I don't know. It just seems like the impossibilities are endless when
Yeah.
you think about being free like that and just being able to pop in and then pop out. And I literally heard a little pop when they disappeared, a little light pop, I guess, when they left the dimension.
Wow. That's awesome. That is awesome. Um, what else you want to talk about? Do you want to move? Want to anything else you want to add, or you want to move on to your next one?
Um,
You
I
can
think that's
expand.
okay on that one. I think we could leave it there. And I
Okay.
would love to hear what other people have experienced, if anyone else has had an experience like that. I truly would
Yeah,
love.
absolutely. I agree. And everybody out there, and I'll repeat the message. Bound to Shoot 34. If you have questions for Kathleen, definitely send them my way. I'll be glad to connect with you with her permission and how comfortable she is. Again, I want to respect everybody's privacy. But again, bound234@gmail.com. We would love to hear your thoughts, questions in regards to any similar experiences that she's had, and also other experiences that you may find similar that she's going to share more into the show. So with that being said, continue on.
Okay. Then uh, I moved with my daughter 4 years ago,
Mhm.
almost five now, uh, from California. And I had been hiking so much and doing so much outdoors things for 10 years or 12 years that Brooksville, Florida, believe me, little bumpkin town, couldn't find a place I felt comfortable walking alone. And I like to be alone when I'm out in the forest, right?
Right.
So after a year of my complaining and couldn't get anybody to go with me and couldn't find the right place and just, I was very frustrated. My daughter came home from a new job and she says, one of my coworkers says he rides a bike about 15 minutes from here on a bike trail.
Mm.
And she named it, and I thought, oh, okay. And then I put it out of my mind. But then she came home a few weeks later and brought it up again. And I said, get that address or get the name of that place. I felt like there was a reason that she got this information from some new person at work, you know?
Right.
So I went, and the first walk, it's a preserve. It's in Brooksville. One of our mid-Florida Bigfoot people went there just a couple of weeks ago and did have some sort of an experience. So I know that's the place for that area
Mm.
because they're everywhere, you know, there's no constrictions as far as where the Bigfoots can be.
Mm-hmm.
Although I don't like to call them Bigfoots, I call them Sasquatch beings.
Okay.
But anyway, so I started hiking in this forest. The first time I went, nobody was there. It's about 2 to 4 miles, depending on how far I wanted to go, in this big, large, round circle, but it has 3 paths, different paths. So I went on the longest one the first time, and I found a huge tree, and I'm going to say it's huge, like, I don't know, maybe even 20 inches, anyway, a huge tree was broken, and it had no termites, no mold,
no dead wood or anything like that.
And it was freshly broken, and the tree, the big part of it, was laid across the path. And they'll do, I had this happen to me out in California. And so I knew instantly, bingo, I found my spot, Yeah. So when I hike, I'm praying and I'm meditating all at the same time, and I'm in my third eye, and I'm collecting messages, and I'm just one with the universe during those times. And so I might have prayed out loud a little bit. And when I say pray, it's not like most religions. It's me connecting to source, creator, and talking and interacting. Okay. I get messages. I give messages. I pray for people. I pray for different things, lots of things. And so I was praying, and I'm not sure about what, but I got all the way out to the fourth part of the last bit of the thing, and I wanted to meditate for a minute. So there was a bench. So I took my shoes and socks off, and I put my feet on the ground. I closed my eyes, and I started just plain meditating, just letting go, going into 0 point. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, something sat on the bench beside me and said telepathically again, "Don't open your eyes." Female sounding voice, not, well, I felt female. I didn't actually hear I guess I heard the voice, but felt the voice as well. But I could feel the bench. I could feel the warmth of a body next to me. Okay. So I didn't open my eyes, because I went there looking for the Sasquatch beings, knowing good and darn well I was being pulled to this area for a reason. So for a few minutes, it was silence. And then she said, sort of like, "Welcome." And she tried to give me a name, but I can't come up with what she gave me. I can't put it into words, but she tried to give me a name, and she sort of said, "Welcome, nice to meet you," kind of a thing. And she just sat silent with me, as if she was meditating with me. Mm-hmm. And this lasted, I'm going to say, 5 to 10 minutes. And during this time, I could feel some movement. I didn't realize it because I didn't open my eyes, that there was a little one on her back or on her shoulder, a little girl. Okay. But I didn't know this at that time, but I could feel some movement. But I knew that they wouldn't trust me if I opened my eyes. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I kept my eyes closed. I had no odors. I had nothing bad. But I did feel the warmth of her body. Almost could feel the hair touching my side. Anyway, so that was my first experience. She got up, she went away. I opened my eyes. I thanked God and Creator 15 times, 20 times, I don't know. And then I was just in amazement. So I hiked out of there, and I decided the next day I was going to take some organic food, some apples and whatever, berries, different things. So I did. I took them and I laid them here and there all up and down the trail, which I probably would have gotten in trouble for if the wardens or anybody would have seen me. But I did. I took food to them, and I hiked, and nothing the first time. But I probably did that 3 more times before I actually got another visit. Okay. And when I hike, I do fast walk the whole time. I just, unless I have to stop and look at something or take a picture. I forgot to mention, while she was beside me, I promised her I would never take a picture of her or the family, and that I would give my life to protect them and their whereabouts. I would, protect them with my life. And that was sort of a bond between us. So whenever I'd go in there, I'd turn my phone off and stick it in my pocket, or, whatever. So that was our bond, I really believe. And I did ask her before she this first visit, I did ask her, I said, I know you have herbs and medicines. I would like to learn. Do you think we could work together? And I got the agreement, right? But then nothing since then yet. Anyway, so then after about, I'm going to say the second week, I'm hiking like 3 to 4 days a week now in there because I'm just fascinated. I found my spot, and so I'm hiking along as fast as I can, going through it because I had other places to go. And she fell in line with me and hiked, and I could see her, and I could see the baby. And the baby stayed on the opposite side, and it's the cutest thing I've ever seen. Didn't look monkeyish. I'm sorry, didn't look monkeyish. Looked like a tiny, cute little face, human, but round. And anyway, a cute little. I felt female. I couldn't see exactly at that point yet, but anyway, so she hiked with me. Hardly anything was said. She just hiking along with me. I'm hearing every footstep. I'm feeling her and I'm seeing her, but I don't want to stare and be rude. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to continue my hike and let's see where this goes. I don't want to startle her. I'm just impressed that I have this connection. So I did that, and I went through my walk, and she got off the trail and went her way, and I went to my car, and again, thanking God all the way home, and tears in my eyes, and just tickled to death that this happened again, because I thought it might be just a one-time something that I only could see in 0-point meditation. Right. But now I got to visibly see her. So more food, more hikes, and I'm going to say about a week after that, I'm hiking in this one part where it looks like there used to be a bit of a creek or something, and it was like a dip in the ground, quite a dip, and it was dried up because it's Florida and it was that time of the year. And I saw 2 young boys squatting down on the other side of the dip behind a tree, but looking at me. Okay. And I saw them, we made eye contact. I'm like, oh my gosh, oh my God, look at this, 2 little, I'm going to say one was about 8 and one was about 10.
Now we say 2 young boys. You're talking about Sasquatch here?
Yes, it was her son. They wanted to let me see them. Okay. She told me this later. They wanted to let me see them to thank me for the food I was bringing.
Oh, wow.
That's right. And I was just, I'm telling you, I cried a lot of tears with these people because I'm just so amazed and that they accepted me and let me see them. Right. Right. Anyway, so I was just in awe. So of course, more food, more hikes as much as I could. And then after, I'm going to say, now I hiked in there I'm going to say about 3 to maybe 4 months, at least 3 times a week, as much as I could anyway, if the weather permitted. And then just before the 2 hurricanes hit in Florida, about 2 weeks before, she got in line with me while I was hiking again. And she said, we're going to be leaving. And she said something about water, but I didn't catch it, just like I couldn't catch her name. I'm not sure exactly what she was telling me. But when I look back now, I think she was telling me about the hurricanes and they had to leave, which turned out that part got hit pretty good as it turned out. But regardless, she put into my mind water running north and south. I could just see and understand water running north and south. And so I thought, well, the only thing I know is St. John's River here in Florida runs north and south. So I'm thinking she was telling me that's where they were headed. I do. Okay. That was my gist of or what I felt was happening at that moment. So then a couple days later, and I'm going to say now it's just barely the week before the hurricanes hit. I'm still hiking through there. I'm still taking food here and there. And I didn't see the 2 boys again. And I didn't actually see the female, but I got messages from her while I was hiking. Things like she said, yes, we can share medicines. Yes, we have one God. We have a supreme being that they all under. Well, there are different ones, like I said in the last videos. There are several different types or clans of them, but of hers. More like Native American. They get together. They have certain holy days, so to speak. I don't know what they are. We didn't get that deep, but she was letting me know that they get together in huge groups at least once a year, and sometimes for other reasons. Maybe I was thinking maybe births or something special like that. And she did say she'd share medicines with me, although I don't think I've gotten that with her yet. Okay. Anyway, so the last time, just before the hurricanes hit, I'm just about out of my walk and nothing happened. And I see my car. So I'm a couple, I don't know how far, but I could see my car in the parking lot. And then I'm going to say maybe 3-4 more minutes of hiking to get to the car. And I started getting a static electricity. My hair stood up, my body was getting and I could hear static electricity, just crackling in the air. And I looked to my left, and there was a big tree, and half of a Sasquatch male was standing on one side of the tree, and the other half was pixelated, the side right by the tree. And so I could see half of him, but only half, and then the other part was sizzling or whatever that like electricity, like right. Yeah. Anyway, and he looked at me, and I looked at him, and it was almost like a smile. He had one arm up, the one that I could see solid. He had it up, and I was froze. He was about 8 foot. I mean, he was big. I didn't feel any fear. I just froze because I've never experienced anything like that, especially knowing that crackling was some sort of an open dimension or portal or whatever, however right. They do what they do. Right. So anyway, I kind of froze for a few minutes, and I didn't even move my eyes. I just didn't even take a breath. I just stayed that way, and I soaked it in as much as I could of the vision. And then I took a deep breath, and I went on to my car, and I thanked him, and I thanked the good Lord again, and got in my car, and I was just like, oh my gosh. Well, then within a week we had the hurricanes, and they closed my little park. Oh, but wow. I knew that they were leaving, and that's why the mail let me see him, I think, sort of like, thank you, I appreciate you, we're leaving now, and things like that. I just got this overall feeling that what a blessing to see a family of 5, right?
Yeah. That is
all in a few months, just all in a few months in a little preserve. Now, I will say this preserve worried me because it's a game preserve, and I saw in all those months, I saw 1 woodpecker and 1 bunny. So where are the animals? It's a game preserve. Where are the animals? I not even birds. Like I said, 1 woodpecker and 1 bunny. So that kind of made me think that they had to leave for food, probably.
Not even deer or anything, huh? Nothing of that. Just wow, that's interesting. Wow.
And I would go early in the mornings, mostly because I didn't like to be around the people. There wasn't very many people that would come through. Just maybe on weekends, somebody would walk a dog or 2, things like that. But yeah, there was hardly ever any people when I went, so which I loved, and I felt safe there. Somehow I felt I could handle that place quite well.
Well, it's I mean, it's the God-given. I mean, that's what I call it. That's for me, the church. That's something that we didn't artificially create. It's there. It's right. That there's that spiritual connection where we're, this is real, right? Being in our homes and vehicles we drive and everything, it's great, but especially how much technology is advanced, good and bad, we self-center it with reality, and honestly, personally, it feels unnatural, right? Because it's not a real socialized experience. Now, I could be called a hypocrite and so forth. I do my TikTok videos and all that jazz, but the reason I do it is because, like people like yourself, to hear this stuff, to really embrace the real surroundings around there. Trying to do that in a sense instead of like people do things for like shock value, or like, oh, there's a UFO, or look at this Bigfoot walking around. There's tons of those videos. It's like, okay, instead of asking where is it, how about why, and the questions that like conversation and also having a socialized conversation like we're doing here. Like, where's that at?
Some of the messages she did give me, even when I wasn't with her, like when I was home, I would get telepathic messages from her every once in a while. Things that I would get was, they want to communicate, but they're afraid of us because we're uncontrollable. We carry guns. We go into fear mode. We scream. We do crazy stuff,
Yeah.
They don't want to scare us. Well, the clan I seem to be connected to doesn't. These are messages she gave me, is that they don't want to scare us, so they'd rather just not be seen. She
Mhm.
also said that they laugh at us because when we go out and we hit trees and we make noises and stuff, the minute we touch our feet on the ground in their territory, they know we're there. We don't have to hit trees, and they know. And she told me that. She says, you don't have to look for us. We know you're there. If we
Right.
want to show ourselves, we will. And it
Right.
was kind of like that, which I wanted to tell people that for their own good, because sometimes when you're making a lot of noise, they're just sitting back laughing.
Mhm.
They're not a bit concerned, and they're not going to show themselves usually. I mean,
Right.
they might ingest sometimes, but the way she told me is that there's no need. The minute you touch your feet in our forest, we know. And because they do have this group thinking at times, or connection, uh, collective consciousness, I suppose, that if one knows, they several know, or whoever the clan is or whoever's around. So they all do know. So I just tell people, just go out and enjoy the woods, and they'll come to you, and if you really want to see them, just keep your heart open and
Awesome.
don't.
That's awesome and beautiful, and that, I'm sure there'd be one heck of experience. I mean, like, for you, I'm sure you're the world you look at too is completely different than a lot of people's worlds that they see. And just kind of hearing you and your story, you talk about, I I go from here to there, which is awesome, but it's like, I don't worry about a thing. I'm enjoying what I'm meant to do. I'm enjoying, this is what life is. It's like, like I go to that, you go to the old Bible scripture thing where it's like, well, if God cares about these two sparrows, why wouldn't he take care of you, type of thing, and that's cool and that's cool to see that. And I gotta say this, I'm encouraged and just at all that you are doing that as for all these years, because that's something I would like to do. There's part of me sometimes where I want to quit my job and just sell my house and just travel around and do that and just kind of have that experience, and not worry about those things that just pretty much we're wrapping our lives in and then dying for something that is so artificial, right? When it comes to money and currency, we need it, but yeah, but I gotta say, I'm encouraged by your bravery and just doing that. I think it's beautiful.
Well, at my age, you have to understand, at 74, and my health is not perfect. I have a battle ahead of me. I need to put this truth out there. I've kept it to myself all my life. I've told very few people, yeah, they knew I was psychic, or yeah, I might say this or that or do something, but I didn't put it all out there. And I just think that now is the time. I have to put my truth out there or take it to the grave.
Hmm.
I'm not saying I'm ready to go or any of that. I'm just saying at 74, we don't know. Anything can happen.
You seem like you got a
So
lot more life being 74. That to me, just looking at you, is just a number. It doesn't exist for you, and I mean that.
it doesn't. It
Yep.
doesn't. I have moments where my body feels elderly, but most of the time I can still hike the 2 to 4 miles real easy, fast walking. I'm hardly ever sick, and I won't take the vaxes, and I don't take any prescriptions. I'll go herbal, but I won't go pharmaceutical. So I think that's what's kept me going. And I've not been a drinker ever in my life, so that kind of helped too, I think.
And good for you,
So
and good for you, by the way. Trust me. I got a big Portuguese family that we it's in our blood. And there's times I'm like, God, I gotta cut this out of my life at times, right? But I haven't bought cigarettes for a month and a half, so I've been proud of that. But it's one battle at a time, believe me. But no, that's good. I mean, it shows it. It shows it. Yeah, you're right. Our bodies, it's a case, right? For it's even for what we have inside. But I think just talking to you and just experiencing you again, um, you got a lot of life in you. I think you got a lot ahead of you.
well, I still make plans no matter where I go and what I do. I try to hook up with groups and still continue doing, the spiritual work.
Right.
Like I said, I have a lot of it documented. I have a little bit more, like I need to document about the family of five in my book before I'm finished. And
Right.
maybe there's a few more experiences. Maybe there's a reason I don't have my laptop that my daughter borrowed and won't return right away. So,
That's funny.
soon, I'll get it soon. I'm meeting up with her on the 11th of July, and I'm threatening her.
Oh,
She needed
that
it for taxes, but she's needed it for a year to do her taxes, and it's taken her a year to do it. So now it's time, it's
she's
time
finding
to
all
get
those
my life.
she's finding all those tax write-offs as much as possible. Uh I get it. So was it Franklin said the two things for sure in life is death and taxes, and gosh, I hate the taxes. Uh, you know, you know. So anything else you want to add to that story? Any other things that these beautiful beings said to you? Anything else they wanted to add that they add, or anything else that you wanted to uh share that you might have missed regards to the experience with the Sasquatches?
Well, the coloring, I can tell you the coloring, the
Go for it.
female was dark brown with sort of a chocolatey brown, but I could see a little touch of red, and her and the little girl were the same color,
Okay.
and the males were all black.
Okay. And what about the eyes?
Pardon me?
What about the eyes? Did you see the eyes at all?
Uh, the boy's eyes were dark, very
Mhm.
dark. I won't say black, but
Gotcha.
dark brown, I'll say.
Gotcha.
And their skin was a gray color.
Interesting. Okay. Okay.
And one of them, I'm embarrassed, but one of them was going through puberty. The oldest.
Oh, yeah, hey, you know what? That's life, man. That's the natural thing. It is what it is.
He may have been older than 10, but I assumed he was 10, maybe 12. I don't know how to judge that. He wasn't real big, but he was bigger than the other one by it looked like a few years, couple of
Yeah,
years.
that's too
But yeah,
funny.
they were black, and the males were. And like I said, I was so fascinated mostly about that static electricity and seeing this pixelated half of a being. I mean, to me, I guess I kind of halfway wanted to go into the portal. I kind of I had this urge to go closer, but then I knew if I did, he'd just disappear. Somehow I
So,
knew that.
so did you see was it a portal that open up, or you said you saw like half,
It was more like he was connected to the tree.
oh, I
So
see.
like as if the tree from half of his body and the tree part were connected. So I'm
Yeah.
assuming, because I've heard of 3 people now that have seen them come out of tree portals, so to speak. I'm assuming that's what happened, but I
Yeah.
can't be, because it could have been from behind the tree. I was just so in awe. Like I said, I just froze. I was afraid if I blinked or if I moved or if I anything, it would disappear. And I wanted to soak it in as much as I could.
Right.
And like I said, now he did not have a monkey face, and they did not have the conical heads. They did not, but they had the dark, deep brow.
Mhm.
They did have that. Both, all of them had that. And
So would you say their nose is like very human like compared to, like, people would describe them as like you said, they're not gorillas or not monkey faces, none of that.
it's flatter and wider.
Gotcha. I
And
see.
there was kind of a bit more space between the eyes and the nose, and the eyes were a little further apart. At
Now
least,
what?
at least on the male, I felt that
So if
as
we
well.
just were their faces more round, or was some of like kind of like a good bone tro Okay, and what about lips wise and so forth?
They had very wide lips. From what I could see of the male, now he wasn't real close, so I couldn't see him as well. But I didn't see. I saw more of a straight line, and with the female, she had more curvy lips.
Okay.
But they did have very wide mouths.
Have you seen any photos out on the internet or any pictures that closely resemble to what you've seen that captures close to
I
the likeness?
Actually, I'm not sure, but I think it's John Urban that does some caricatures, and he does coloring books for Sasquatch, and he has been drawing some things and putting them on the Mid Florida Bigfoot site on Facebook a bit, and he's putting more of a Native American look to them, and that's what I seem to see. I see high cheekbones, and uh, just more Native American, and I'm seeing him draw some of those, and I'm finding that he's the closest to what I've been seeing and experiencing
All right,
so far.
you said his name's John Urban.
John Urban. Sometimes he goes by famous John Urban.
That's pretty awesome. I'm just curious on something.
He has coloring books,
Oh,
and
okay.
Yeah, and he does all kinds of caricatures and anyways, a great artist, and I got to meet him recently at one of the dinners that we had. Uh,
Interesting. Has he seen Sasquatch himself, or what?
I don't think so. From what I last read on one of his posts, he has not yet seen them, but he has some connection. I have full belief that they will show themselves to him, though, when
Interesting.
he's ready. Yeah, I
Awesome.
do.
Awesome. That's cool that he does that. And that's really, really cool. So that's wow, that's pretty fascinating what inquisitive people drive. It's almost funny. It's like, even the most like I'm a very inquisitive person. I'm not here to hunt anything or try to capture with a net or cage it. I'm just more of like I want to get to know you. I want to understand. I want to communicate. I want to look at the world bigger than how I'm seeing it in the moment of my life. And, that's why I ask questions. Some people are like, stop asking questions. I'm like, why not? The good Lord gave me a brain, use it.
Yeah, I'm very curious. That's what got me into all this, I think.
Oh my
Because I'm
goodness.
very curious.
So,
Like you said, I'll walk out into the woods as far as I can to be, curious or to satisfy something that I intuitively feel, because I do have that blessing of getting these intuitive messages or whatever.
no, and that's beautiful. And I love, like, Randy, I've mentioned Randy many times. He's got communication with the Sasquatches. Tons of times he says he's seen portals, had what he calls mind speaks or telepathy,
Mhm.
for many decades, and he posts a lot of things online. For you, and maybe Randy hasn't shared this story yet, but for you, the I'm hearing, based on what you're telling me, that you weren't just seeing and talking to one, you were experiencing a whole family, which
Family of five. I
which is pretty freaking cool, right? They let you into their circle for a bit,
They
and
were
that's pretty
letting me
awesome.
know some things in a way. They were letting me know we are a family. Put this out there. These hunters cannot keep coming in here and killing us. You know what I mean? I was getting messages from the experience, bigger and badder. You know what I mean? And
Right.
that's why I really wanted to put it out this time on this video about how important it is. I know people get scared and they have a gun in their hand and boom, they're going to just pull the trigger. I get it. I get it. But sometimes they just want you to leave. Sometimes there's might be a new birth, new baby,
Right.
new things going on, mating season. I don't know, I'm not into their world that close yet, but
Right.
there's different reasons they want us out of their area. And
Gotcha.
if we obey and we leave, all is well. But if we don't, and if we do uh, shoot at them, God forbid, they have a way of showing up at your home. They have a way of doing some things. A lot of people. Well, Scott Carpenter, for one, he
Mhm.
God bless him, he passed not long ago. He even says they'll follow you home. They'll be in your home. You can have a door locked, and they'll leave a present for you or a gift for you.
And Randy's had that happen to him. He's
Right.
had that multiple times happen to him. There's times where he said he's not sure if he made it mad or what, but he had his stuff in his bedroom peed on, and it was
That's right.
really, really bad. And then he had like a stick of ice cream stuck in his refrigerator. He's like, I'm not sure if it's something I did or they're pranking me, but but he's never had anything violent at all. They said they're not violent. That some of them he believes that he deals with, some of them that there are some adolescent ones, like you talk about. Hey, I'm just with the people out there, little pranksters, and I wouldn't say little pranksters. They're very big pranksters. But yeah, but there has never been any sense of danger or any of that sorts. Now we do hear stories of people. See, it's the thing. I don't hear a lot of attack at all. I've heard people being threatened attack, but that's usually more about hunters, and that could be, and to get out there to everybody. Listen. We I'm a fan of that. If I'm a person who's like, if you're gonna hunt something, that you're gonna use it to eat, not for a trophy. Like and I get that people are like, well, hunting's bad and so forth. Well, like, tell a lion not to hunt a gazelle. you know, I get that, but I believe there's got to be healthy intent. I think the Native Americans really captured that when it comes to hunting and really thanking this animal for feeding and taking care of family. There's a gratitude and gratefulness to it. But I've seen that with I've heard that with hunters, but again, they're fearing what they're not. They're like, oh my gosh, there's this big thing. I'm gonna point my gun at it. And I've heard times where they become very aggressive, but not in a way where I'm gonna kill you, because it sounds like if they wanted to hurt you, they would. It was more of like, get out.
I do feel there's certain clans that are violent. Like I said earlier on in one of the other videos, that I believe there are several different types, or uh, I don't know. I even believe that some of the more deformed ones might possibly even be government manipulation, or at
Hmm.
some point, something
I
going
think
on.
I think you mentioned that before, where they're captured and there's genetic manipulation and so forth.
Those are the violent ones that I'm finding. And
Yeah.
yes, people do disappear, and I worry about that. I do, but for the most part, all the ones I've had contact with sent out love. They sent out good vibes. You know what I mean? But this female told me, our families get killed. The hunters. You need to let the people know that we're a family. We
Yeah.
have babies, we have children, and if you leave us alone, we can live hundreds of years. We can teach you things, but and they know we don't live so long, but they can live several hundred years, evidently,
Wow. Wow,
when left.
that's incredible. You know what? I have a question, sidebar question on that. Do you think, and again, I go back to Bible stuff, but you know how man used to live for hundreds of years and then the years got shortened. Do you think that we have the capability of living a lot longer than our typical 80 to 100 years, maybe even 100 years per se? And in addition to that, even with aging, do you think there's been genetic manipulation changing, or do you think that's just, hey, no, that's just normal?
I believe that we have been manipulated into dying younger by certain dark entities that have been behind the scenes, so to speak, and kind of manipulating us. If you want to go to the Inky and the Enlil story or some of that stuff, it gets pretty deep, but it makes a lot of sense. And
You know what?
they
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
keep us down to the minimum. We're just slaves while we're here, and then we're gone. And I believe in my whole heart that that's going to turn around, that we will start having more length of life very soon. That, of course, it depends on when they quit poisoning us too.
Yeah.
When they get the fluoride out of the water and the glyphosates out of the foods, and the chemtrails out of the sky. When that happens, we have a chance of living easily to 150 right away.
You know what?
Easily.
Let's table that one for another podcast. I definitely want to go deep into that one because you mentioned that, and I'm trying to get better with my podcasting. I'm not going too sidebar, but well, after we finish, let's talk off a line, and definitely I want to go deep dive into that because I think that is something that's worth hearing, especially when you're right with the food that's placed. That's why I like cooking my food as much as possible. I can't say it's always safe because you don't know what's in the meat. You do what you
Right.
can. But I will say this, that and personally for me, maybe you can share the same thoughts, is that especially after COVID, there is a turn in the tide spiritually. And honestly, I keep thinking each morning, waking up, why am I scared today? Why do I feel this at times? And I'm thinking, is something wrong with me? And I'm realizing and again, I'm not trying, for you out there, I'm not trying to say you're all bad people. And that's what I'm trying to say. I'm just saying there is something that's turning the tide that is not normal. And it feels like there's a spiritual and emotional whiplash when it comes to all the things that are going around the world. We talked before about the UAP reports and something, that narrative, and then we got we, and again, not going politics. We got an eccentric president doing a lot of eccentric things. Again, not going politics. I want to be very clear about that. I'm just, you take it for what it is.
Don't
And
follow.
yep, yep, yep,
Follow a
yep,
little bit. I
yep.
don't.
I'm just talking about what's happening out there, and then all these wars that are happening, and what's going on, and tariffs and so forth. There's a lot of chaos, and I see it, and I can feel it around people. It's also almost like people are not saying hi to each other anymore. I go to the store yesterday. It's 4th of July, and it was. No one said hi. It was like, get out of my way. It was like they give you that look, right? And I'm just trying to be polite and all this stuff. You get a few here and there. And then Fourth of July was chaos. It was probably the worst Fourth of July. I already shared briefly with you. It was, we're talking to a few people with stuff briefly, and then uh, my my former wife Jen, she's in California right now, and there was a fire 2 houses down, being fireworks going off. So there was this all this. It was this all there's all this, and then a friend of mine who was camping, it was clogged up with streets and traffic. It was like this was like the worst Fourth of July I've ever seen. And so again, sorry to I'm hijacking the. I went on a ramble myself, and I'm sorry, but that's just me. That there's this turn of the tide that I've never felt before. That is like a birth pains to hoping something that's going to open our eyes be better.
I also happened to notice the last day or two the Schumann residence. Have you happened to paid any attention to that?
No,
It's off the charts this week. I mean, I don't understand it all, but I follow it with this one gentleman,
you
Mr.
said the Schumann residence.
Yeah, the Schumann residence has been off the charts like it's never been before since it's been started to be recorded, evidently. And I feel it too. There's something going on. I've been telling people around me that there's something going on. And then when I saw the Schumann residence be beyond what it's ever been before, then I started realizing maybe that's a big part of it. That the Earth is tired of.
You talk about okay, make sure it's right. Schumann, and I just want to clarify for the audience, really. So Schumann resonance
Yes.
are so reading the definition are a set of electromagnetic frequencies that exist in the Earth's atmosphere, specifically between the Earth's surface and the ionospheres. These resonances are essentially standing waves of electromagnetic radiation primarily triggered by lightning strikes, the most prominent frequency around 7.83 hertz, which I've heard about hertz affecting frequencies in people's beings. There's studies about that. Even frequencies opening portals. I've heard about that. That's a whole nother story. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure I understood it and everybody else understood what I was talking about. Interesting.
There's a gentleman on YouTube, Mr. MBBB or MBB333. Anyway, he puts out a little report all the time, about 10 minutes long or something like that. He has the longer ones, but I only watch the short ones. But he posted that, and I was like, no wonder I'm feeling what I've been feeling for it seems like just about the same time the Schumann residents kind of went crazy is about when I started having these feelings that something's up, something's different. They say it's sort of the heartbeat of the Earth too, whatever that means. The Schumann resonance is the heartbeat of the Earth. And the Earth is a being, and the Earth is ascending, and the Earth is making changes, and she is cleaning herself up because of what damages we've done to her. So anything's possible, anything's possible.
Yeah, agreed. And the Earth is living, and if people don't figure that out, what the Earth's alive? Well, duh. It has trees on it. It has water. It has fish. It has us. Wow. Yeah. Duh. It's not just this unliving thing.
I recently, about a year ago, I was house sitting on 17 acres, and I was in a swimming pool by myself with a couple of dogs I was house sitting with, and I got a telepathic message to come out of the pool, go out of the screened in area, and video the sun. I mean, it's about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So I did it. I got out. I got my phone. I couldn't figure out why. I had just gotten into the pool, and I was really comfortable. But I got out, and I did what they asked. And or I won't say they. I'll say it. Okay. The video I got, I posted it on Facebook a couple times. Maybe I'll send it to you, and you can share it if you wish.
Yeah, that'll be great. Please resend it to me. I think I know what you're talking about, but resend it to me for sure.
Yeah, the sun was just pulsating like code to me, and I just stayed there in awe looking at it. Like, am I collecting some rays? Am I collecting codes? What is this? Why did they tell me to get out of the pool? And then I started thinking of it just recently. It wasn't a they, or it wasn't anything. It was the sun that was communicating with me.
Interesting.
The sun is a being. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, that just came to me not too long ago when this Mr. MBB333 posted somebody else who had a pulsating sun picture just a couple days ago. He did. And so I thought, holy cow, now that makes sense to me. It was actually the sun that was communicating to me. Now, I don't know what the communication was. It was some kind of codes, I suppose. All I know is I was just in amazement that it literally tells me, get out of the pool, come out of the screen, and take a video.
Right.
So yeah, I'll send that to you, and you can, like, if you wish, you can share it, because it's amazing.
That'll be great. I would love to make, if it's the same video I'm thinking of, please resend it to me so I have it in my own private box.
I will. I think we will.
God,
But anyway,
that sounded weird. Sorry, but
well,
but I know. But okay, well, I'll get us back on track here. Let me see. What's the other one here? Where you were mentioning? You know what? I want to jump, just for time's sake. I want to jump to the story you mentioned about being abducted. You were abducted. Let's see, maybe about when I abducted car and all. Let's see.
oh, with my car.
Yeah. Can you talk about that?
I can. I had just I went through a heck of a divorce that was horrible. Took 2 years. I had to hide out until the divorce became final with my children because it was dangerous.
Yeah.
And I had a cousin who I loved dearly, and he was a Marine. And he would go to this little place called the Roadway Inn. It was on Highway 301 outside of Tampa. And they played live music. And he would go there. He raised his 3 children by himself, and he never would remarry. But he would hook up with some ladies every now and then, and he'd go to the Roadway Inn. So he told me he was going to be there, and he had a date, and if I wanted to come and say hi. So I did. And I'm in my 30s. I'm still in my 30s, but. And I have this big car, this blue Ford LTD that my mother had given me, one of the big monsters. And so anyway, I drove over and visited with him. I had one drink because I'm not a drinker. Right. And I know that if I drink 2, I'm going to be sick. And I don't like being sick, so I never drink 2. Yeah. However, I did drink 151 rum. Okay.
It's a bit rough.
So it was a heck of a drink, but I had only one. And towards the end of the night, near midnight, I got there probably 9 or 10 or whatever, the band started, and stayed for a while with him. And then him and the girlfriend wanted to go do some room stuff. So I was going to leave, and he walked me to my car. And it's around midnight, and I'd sobered up. I'd been watering it down, the drink down with Coke and stuff until I was ready to go. And so at midnight, he walks me to my car, says goodbye. We hugged, and I get in my car, and I'm headed home. All of a sudden, I feel the car and me lifting, just lifting, and then I don't remember anything else. But I feel the car and I lifting, so I knew something was coming, but I didn't. But boom, they took me away. So consciously, that's all I remember is, oh my God, the car's going up with me this time.
Wow.
It was kind of like with my thought. Right. And then when I woke up, it's 3 a.m. and I'm in the middle of the highway on Highway 301, which is a pretty big road. Yeah. Maybe not back then when I was in my 30s, but I'm in the middle of the road. The lights are on and the car's running, and there I am, and they wake me up. But it's been 3 hours now. And again, I'm in the middle of the road. If another car had come along, who knows? I mean, it scared me because I'm in the middle of the road. And where did I go for 3 hours? And I knew good and darn well I didn't fall asleep. Right. It just, yeah. So that was my experience. Now, I have not gotten far enough with the hypnosis yet to pull much of that experience out. But I definitely felt the car and I going up. I knew they were above me, and I knew we were going up. And then, like I said, there was no memory of the actual abduction at that time. So I don't know.
Yeah, let me ask you a question on this. When the car was moving up, was the car on or off?
We were driving. I was driving down the road.
Okay, so you're driving. And so did the car start acting funny? Was the lights flickering? Was it kind of dying? Or was it on and just started lifting?
It was on and going, and it lifted. It just started lifting, and I felt it. And I said to my only thought at that moment was, oh, this time they're taking the car and me. It was kind of like just a quick thought, and then boom, they put me out, or whatever they do. And then again, like I said, 3 hours later, I'm on 301, scared because I'm in the middle of the road and just waking up. And I've never never have I fell asleep driving. And I've driven across this country several times, and one drink is never going to do that either,
How
especially when I.
how far after the 3 hours? How far were you from your best description, your best memory of the location where you were at to where you were at the time, or they drop you off at the same spot?
I kind of think I was down the road a little further down. I still on the same road, but I think I felt like I was down further than what I knew I had driven. Because when they first took me in the car, I had just started heading out, just started heading home. But I was out on the highway, and it was dark, it was quiet, not many cars, because whatever night it was, just probably was a Thursday or some night that it just wasn't crowded or busy. And even the little bar that we went to wasn't busy. And so it could have been during the weekday. I don't really remember.
Interesting.
But
Interesting.
just feeling the car with me, it just shocked me. Had no idea that happened at that point.
Yeah, so when you were lifted, was there light surrounding the vehicle, or it was just lifting up?
I didn't have but seconds to think about it, but I don't remember.
It was quick. It was just quick.
Yeah, very. Wow. It was very quick, and I don't remember seeing a light. But as I'm going up, I knew that they were there. Whoever they were, I knew that it was above me. So I kind of knew that much. But I was saying, "Here we go." Only this time they've got the car and me.
Was there any changes to your wardrobe after the fact? Like, or were you still kind of like, I'm still dressed the same? I've heard stories with people when it comes to clothes being put on the wrong way, or certain things that they notice that I didn't do that, or I didn't change this, or anything of that. Or is it just kind of like, okay, I'm good, I'm getting out of here?
I pretty much thought, I'm getting out of here. I can't believe this happened, and I just went home and went to bed. I didn't look. I didn't think about it. I've never really thought to look for scoop marks or marks on my body. I never did, because that's something I'm just finding out over the last few years.
Yeah.
That I know about in those days, and I just never did. I like I said, I have fragmented memories, but under hypnosis, it really started opening doors to where things are, making sense, and more floods into my mind about each experience. So, but yeah, I would like to get a chance to go into that deeper with a hypnosis session one day.
Have you tried? Have you not tried to do that yet, or is it something that you're or is it something like, I don't know if I want to know? I mean, what's kind of like
I do, but it costs money to have,
Oh, that's
hypnosis,
true.
and I was blessed with my other session. Somebody blessed me with the money for my other session. God bless him. And so, when I get the money and I can, I will definitely go into that.
Yeah. Okay. I was just curious about that too. That's wow. That is, and maybe they want to check out the Ford. Maybe they're like, oh, it's a Ford.
And on New Year's of 2000, I had another really weird experience similar. My son was adult, and he had his best friends over, and they were going to party, and my mom had property, so it was okay to put off fireworks and whatever. So I filled my trunk up with fireworks, and I brought it home to the kids, and I said, I'm going to go out. I want to hear live music. I'm going 15 minutes down the road. I'm going to go the back roads, and I'm going on this Dale Mabry Highway to this little club, and I'm going to go maybe dance and see the ball drop, and then I'll be home. Mm. And so I went to this little place, left the kids, home to party. And I danced with this very nice, I guess he was a little younger than I, but anyway, a Marine, a nice Marine came, and we sat and talked, and we danced together. And when the ball dropped, I said, okay, guy, well, I don't remember his name. I said, could you walk me to my car? I have to go home. And then, there's lots of ladies in there. You can go back in and hopefully still have a good night, but it's not going to be me.
Yeah, no, totally get it. Totally get it.
So he walked me to the car, very, very polite man, and walked me to my car, and I got in and I started to head home. No, nothing out of the ordinary. I pull into my driveway, and there's my son's best friend, Kyle, who's no longer with us, but he's standing at the gate, and one of the other young men are at the gate, and he's going, Mom, where have you been? Because I was mom to him too. And
Mhm.
where have you been? And I said, what do you mean, where have I been? I told you where I've been. I went, and when the ball dropped, I left and I came home. I wanted some music and to get away from you guys, as a joke.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I said, why? Why are you standing at the gate? And he goes, we were worried about you. And I said, what are you talking about? I'm
Yeah.
thinking, what? You guys should be drinking and partying and doing whatever you do.
Yeah.
He showed me his watch. It was 3:15. So I had left right when the ball dropped. It's a 15-minute ride. And I ended up pulling in my driveway at 3:15. Now this was 2000 of New Year's 2000.
I have a question with you on this. This is two stories where it's around 3 o'clock in the morning.
That's right.
Have you is that the only times that you've had that, or was there times where it's around 3 o'clock in the morning that you're back to your awareness from these experiences? And there's a reason why I'm asking that question.
I'll have to think on it, but some of my dream visions have been around that time too. And I wake up and I sit up and I've had this, for instance, I don't know if I've mentioned about the Kursk, the ship that, oh, well, there's a story and a half. It was a dream vision, but there's a story and a half in there, a real spiritual story. We'll have to talk about it if we have time. Anyway, when I woke up from that, it was happening at around 3:15 in the morning when I had that vision. But I went back to sleep until I woke up, and then I realized the importance of what the heck I had just experienced. And I went out to tell my mother. I think I should tell you this one real quick, huh?
Sure, go for it. Go for it.
Excuse me.
Okay.
I was asleep, and I left my body, and I knew I was out of my body, and I had my left arm was up, and I was like Superman. I was flying into the night sky, and I looked back and I could see the earth. I could see my body. I could see me leaving, going far, far out into the universe, around the earth. I went around the earth, and then I found myself going into some dark, cold water. Just still with my arm up like Superman, only one arm though, not both. And I was into this cold, dark water, and I could feel it. I mean, it wasn't cold, like painful, like it would be to my body, because I was in my spirit body, and I didn't feel the cold, but I knew I was in this cold, dark water. And I see this hull of a ship, this huge hull of something, and I go through it. I absolutely went through the hull of the ship, and there's 3 men on my right, and they were in navy blue, zipped up, like mechanics wear, monkey suits, I call them.
Yeah. No, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, like mechanics wear, sort of. And there was 3 men in blue, and they were on my right. And then there was one man on my left, and he was in a white shirt, like a captain, like a officer. And they were screaming. They were in fear. They were horrified. They were drowning. They were dying. They were something horrible. And I reached out still with that left hand out. I reached out and I grabbed a hold of the man in the white. I grabbed his hand, the man in the white shirt. And I found myself pulling him with me out of the ship, out of the water, up into the heavens, up into the sky, and literally to the light. I held this man's hand and brought this man to the light. And when I handed him over, there was like this light, hard to explain. It was like I handed it to a huge hand that reached out and took them in. A huge white glowing, everything was so glowing white light. I mean, I can't explain more than I thought God's land, okay? I mean,
Gotcha,
I felt like
gotcha. Different realm. Yeah.
Like a soul retrieval. I don't understand it, right? And then I'm thinking, why couldn't I grab the other 3? Why didn't I get them all? And I felt like I saved this man somehow. Anyway, but as I was pulling the man out, I looked back and I read RURSK on the ship. And when I woke up at 3:15, I wrote that down, RURSK, and then I went back to sleep till morning. So this was so real, and I knew the love that I felt while I was in the light. I knew that love like it was very familiar. I knew that I had took this gentleman's soul to Creator somehow. I don't understand. I don't know. it's over my head, but that's what happened. So I wake up and I go into the living room, and my mother is in there, and that young man that met me at the gate, Kyle, was in there, and I told them the story. I said, "Oh, I had this dream last night, and I was out of my body," and I told them the whole thing. They knew I had some strangeness and gifts, but they didn't quite understand out of my body, probably. But anyway, I explained it to them, and then my mother said it was a Sunday. I know that because she said, "Go look at the Sunday paper." I picked up the Sunday paper, and on the headlines was the Kursk, Kursk.
I just pulled her
And
up right now. Wow.
I was broken because those three men I had to leave behind screaming. They could see me. They could see me in my spirit body or whatever. And I guess they were already gone and they were in their spirit bodies. I don't understand. It's really deep.
Well,
But again,
before we move on to that one, just to let you know the experiences that I've had with John when we've gone to different areas of paranormal surroundings, and again, this is just what we discovered, that sometimes there's things that keep people around. Again, this is a submarine, but here's an example. Limestone is a big thing when it comes to the paranormal and keeping things intact and at bay and not able to move forward. And with this disaster, we've heard stories, but there's things between, again, just so far experiences, that there's ghosts and there's demons and poltergeists. And the tragedy, what I've heard, what I understood, is that when somebody's going through such tragedy and confusion, that their spirit just does not leave, because it doesn't not know maybe that they're dead, and that they're reliving this nightmare over and over again. I'm again, that's terrible. I don't know if you ever heard the show American Horror Story, the first season of that show, where they're all that's that the murder house, but it's all the spirits who died. They're all trapped in this house, and
yeah.
I'm wondering if that's the case. I don't know why it was just one person, and why couldn't you get the others? Who knows the story behind that? But yeah, it was a Russian submarine, a nuclear submarine.
was it 2000 or 2001? I
No,
can't quite remember.
2000. You nailed it. Wow, this
Yeah.
is, whoo, this is
I'm
spooky.
sure I guess that year.
Yeah,
But yeah, yeah, that was well, I started wondering, it was he a relative of mine, some distant relative that I was saving? Why him, and what was my connection to
yeah.
this man? And I don't know. I asked a million questions. I started following all the pictures I could find of the ones that were deceased to see if I could find the gentleman. I never did really find. I guess I didn't really research. I don't even know if I had a computer back then. But anyway, it was probably did. But anyway, I didn't do the research. But I'm still to this day curious about the why one and not the others, when they were all reaching out to me, and I, being out of body, I felt like I had enough power. I could have pulled the ship up if I wanted to.
Right.
I did. I felt like I could do anything, but my goal, for whatever reason, was to grab that gentleman in the officer's uniform and get him to heaven, to Creator, to Source. I don't know. I
And
just know love that I felt. I didn't want to leave.
so I'm pulling something up here. I'm not saying this is the person or not. So the person was commander of the ship was Captain Lyachin Lychin. He was, while the specific detail of him wearing a white shirt isn't explicitly mentioned in all sources, common for submarine commanders to wear with distinctive attire, and a white shirt can be part of a naval uniform, especially during the formal occasions. I'm gonna type. I'm just gonna type this in and see if I get a picture for you. Okay.
Oh, that'd be nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, to me, I've had a few of these dream visions, but that's one that really, really, it was so meaningful to me to be able to know that I took somebody back to Source or to Creator, and the love that I felt there, that when I handed him over, I kind of wanted to jump in that giant hand with him. Because
Yeah. I
it was
know.
like a giant glowing bright hand with
Yeah.
like five fingers that came out. I mean, huge hand. And I kind of laid him into that. I gifted the hand to the man's spirit to that hand. And
Okay.
anyway,
Yeah. No.
that's
It's.
been.
I'm listening to you. I'm gonna pull an image and see if I can get that shared. And this could be the person. It could not be a person. I've just thought I'd just give it a shot.
I don't even know if I'd recognize him.
No,
Like I said,
and I'm not going to put you on test. I'm just going to show you the person that they describe wearing the
if
white.
I could see him or find him, I'd be very excited to know what the connection is in some way. Why him?
Let
I
me.
mean, there was several hundred died on that ship, as I
Uh,
understand. And I felt like whatever happened on that ship, I felt like it was a lie what we were told, that something else happened on that ship. And I'm not sure what it is, but I had a feeling that I'm putting this out there, guys. I had a feeling that the ship might have come in contact with ET, and because it was a nuclear ship, they may have stopped it for some reason.
and
So that
that's a possibility. Do you see the share file? Do you see a share picture or no?
I do,
So
I do.
this is I'm not saying this is the person. I'm just saying this is the captain, and I could have been another personnel, but this is the person who was captain of that ship.
It could very well be. It
Yeah,
looks about
and I know it's been a long time ago and so forth,
it looks
but I
about the same age of the gentleman.
but I
It's
thought
very
I'd give you something to kind of maybe have some downtime to kind of research if you wanted to a little bit. But that's interesting you mentioned. I'll
yeah.
stop.
Maybe you could send me that later.
Yeah, I'll stop the share on that. But that could be um who knows who knows if that's yeah I'll send you a picture of that. Do some detective work, paranormal detective work, right? That's how I call it, the X-Files type of stuff.
I would love to know if anybody has any UFO sightings in that area of the waters during that time, because that's what I felt happened. It was a underwater craft. Whether the ship hit the craft or the craft was stopping the ship because of the nuclear bombs that were. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
well,
know.
I'll just say this: it's not the first. So there was a report by Weaponized from Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp about a month or a little over a month ago, I think, with Matthew Brown. If you guys know Matthew Brown, and where he discovered this document, this file called the Immaculate Constellation, and interesting term, right? Immaculate Constellation. And basically, there's so much information in this that there's filters within filters how this narrative is wanting to come out, right? You got people telling you got people telling you, well, they exist, but this is what it is. When people like you could say, no, this is what it is, and that's the publicist thing, right? But anyways, going back to what we're saying about the submarine ship. So there was reports where our government would go to and locate these triangle ships that were above Russian submarines. They just knew where to find them. And the thumb of theory is I'm thinking either we have technology that we've gathered from crash retrievals that we know how to locate these things, or we did it and we reversed engineered it and did and testing to see what the reaction would be. Again, I'm speculating, but that's not unknown. Yeah, I've heard.
Very 100% true on that. In 1982, when I was running from my ex-husband before the divorce, or during that moment, I was I went to near MacDill Air Force Base in Tampa to pick up a trailer so I could get my stuff in it and my kids' stuff in it and take off. I was headed to Oregon, getting out of Florida to get away from this person. And so I was over there getting this trailer, and I'm right by the Air Force Base, and I have this triangle craft come right over my car. Now there's other cars on this highway. This is a big highway. It's called Dale Mabry Highway, very big highway in Tampa. And it's about 10 o'clock in the morning. And this big, huge triangular craft comes right over my car. And I stopped in the middle of the road. Several people did as well. And I got out, and it started doing things like this and maneuvers. And it danced for me for maybe 2 or 3 minutes, silent, everything's silent. And then it zoomed off at Mach, who knows, just zoomed off. And everybody got to see it, not just me. But so this was 1982. Now I didn't hear about these black triangular crafts until at least a couple years later.
Right.
Maybe even 86 they started talking about them. So I saw one in 1982.
Wow.
Early
And
82.
and there's theories behind it. If it's something that we've re-engineered, There, so I'll type this for you. And by the way, I'm not going to make this two-part. I'm gonna let this whole episode ride because I'm this is too good to make a two-parter. I'm gonna put this T. I'm gonna do a share here with.
I thought at the time, because I was near the Air Force Base, that it was reverse engineered. Even though I didn't understand what reverse engineered was yet, I had a feeling that that's what they were doing, is trying out some kind of a new technology from ET, because I was familiar with that all
So
my
so
life.
I'll share this with you. This is a supposedly picture of this object, and there's another one I'll click on too. Share that really quick. So let me know when you see it.
Yes, I do see it. It's
So this
the
is
one
the
more to the right, but
this
it had no lights, it had no seams, and it was right over me. I mean, I felt like I could throw a rock and hit it at
so
first when.
here's this one, and then here is these. Okay.
Yeah, more
So
like the first one. I think it seemed like it was wider.
what the first one you said?
Yeah,
So this is the alleged what's called TR3B that is
right.
supposedly reverse engineered. Now, I'm not saying that that's what it that it's not uh non-human intel or extraterrestrial, but it could be possibly us re-engineered. That's like the big thing right now, is these triangle ships. And again, I just thoughts and theories, but I thought I showed that to you because that is something that is starting to come out more in a recent times, regarding triangle shifts. But you're talking about, I saw this in 1982.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
might have been 81. It might have been. I can't remember what month I left.
and we were talking more about saucers back in those times. I was what? Yeah, the term is flying saucers. Flying saucers, flying saucers. You don't hear triangles until recently.
Well, I had seen at that point in my life. Remember, in my other video, I mentioned about the cigar-shaped one. So I knew saucer-shaped, and I knew cigar-shaped, and I knew motherships because I had a couple experiences visualizing, seeing them, in broad daylight and different things like that. So that I knew, but I did not know about the triangular craft until it came right over my car. Like I said, it was as if it got my attention. I mean, when I think about my life, I think, gosh, I should have paid more attention because I had a lot of stuff happen, a lot of stuff.
Well,
And
there's also stories too, and I was listening to the confessionals with Tony Merkel. That's a great podcast. I started listening to him a few years back, and he's just grown exponentially, and he's just a good guy. And they're, again, this is just going a different rabbit hole regarding bloodlines and how bloodlines are important, certain genetics that not a lot of people have, and that's why maybe this is what the abductions are. There's a spiritual element to it. That's not just from his show. There's other talks, even from oh my gosh, what I forgot the he was in Fox before, but that there's some type of spiritual element regarding these entities and beings. And of course, people are going to say they're interdimensional, they're friendly. Other people are going to say they're demonic. We don't know. I don't know. I'm not trying to stick to one label or the other, but the whole thing comes around is regarding these people and their DNA, something special about it.
well, I
And
am RH negative,
yeah,
and I am a little drop of Native American,
yep,
two drops, maybe three,
yep,
and I have German, mostly British, and Celtic, Irish and Scottish.
yeah,
I have what they seem to. Oh, and green eyes, and I'm left-handed. All those things seem to be something that they seem to be interested in, from what I've been reading in the
yeah.
many books. So I am right there with all those things. If that really does make a difference.
It's a big talk. That it's like I said, it's not from one like that. That's an episode that we're listening, but that's been the circle rumor reel is about people's genetics and their special genetics. There's a lineage of some sort, and that there's again a spiritual element to it. People ask, well, how has spirituality got to connect with ETs, and how would it not? How, I mean, we don't we have no way to fathom it in a way, and it takes people to be open minded. The reason I think people don't talk about it is because people like to be in their own little world, and I get that. No one likes change. I don't like change in certain things, but at the same time, we got to understand there's a reality that's been here before all this. That's always existed, and that's the truth.
And when the Bible, I'm not a Bible quoter anymore. I once was
Mhm.
years ago. But,
Mhm.
when it says God knows every tear we cry and every hair we have on our head, I mean, creator or who, whatever you
Yeah.
want to say,
Hmm.
sure.
Sure.
Uh, if that's true, then they do know each and every one of us individually, right down to our little cellular,
Yeah.
whatever, and our DNA and what have you. So, it kind of makes sense to me that the genetics does play a part in it in some way.
Yeah, and thanks for echoing that. I was just really curious about your thoughts with that, especially your experiences, because the other friend of mine, John, who's talked to my podcast, talks about his abduction experiences and his kids, and they're connected. His kids talk about the visit. They'll tell him, "Oh, they're coming tonight. They're coming tonight," and they would know. And there's a video. I'll try to find it. I have it in my drive of one where you see a door slam right open, and there's
Oh,
this big light coming through, because he has cameras, and it's, he's got a lot of kids. He wants to make sure kids are safe, right? He is just, like any parent would. And then another where you see a tall being, um, like from here, its face comes in and then moves out like quick, and it was
wow.
a tall gray.
Okay.
It actually got me teary eyed, because not just because I was scared, or it was like emotional, like, oh my God, this is first hand. I've seen videos online. You don't know if they're real. This is first hand security footage of what I'm
Wow.
seeing. And it just like shook me. I was like, oh my God. Right. And then I'm thinking, why do they want to talk to me, man? Why do they want to come talk to me? Maybe I'm just too distorted in the bloodline. I get that's okay. Maybe, no.
No, I think they're interacting with everybody, maybe only in our dream states, but I think we're all playing an important part in some way. Like we're all a piece of the puzzle. I don't know what the puzzle is yet, but I do
Well,
feel like they're very aware, just like they know every tear, or God creator knows every tear and every hair. It's the same kind of thing. They know us intimately and are watching us and following us or whatever,
yeah.
uh, or a part of it. I'm not sure.
Wow. Well, with that being said, I want you to stay on, talk to you afterwards. And then definitely want to try to set some time, maybe, next month, since I got quite a bit of things with other projects with podcasts and stuff
Okay.
regarding the longevity. We talked about the life and like our health and so forth. So yeah. Anyways, that was my inner thoughts speaking out. Sometimes I gotta keep those inner thoughts inside. It's
Oh, let
good.
them out.
All
Don't
right.
hold in. I held my life together. I didn't tell anybody because I didn't want to be crazy. And
Oh,
so,
well,
but let it out because it needs to come out. And if more
all right.
people did, maybe these puzzles would get more connected.
No, I agree with that. Stop hiding your puzzles. Put them together so we can see the picture. I like that.
Yes.
We'll keep it at that. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening today. Again, if you want to reach out and have questions regards to the conversations and the stuff that Kathleen has shared today with the Sasquatch, the orbs, as well as just us talking about the 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 Russian ship that crashed in the triangle, any of those sorts. You have any questions, is something you want to get off your chest and speak out loud, bound to shoot 34@gmail.com. Send me an email. I'll definitely see how I connect you and Kathleen together. Again, you can find us on YouTube, X, Spotify, Amazon Audible, Instagram. Yes, I'm following Instagram now, Kathleen. What's the other one? Was it Rumble? Whatever it's called. Not Rumble. No, not Rumble. Yeah, yeah. You'll see the link, and other platforms you'd like to enjoy as well. So until then, everybody have a great day. Have a very safe after 4th of July post, and again, see you on the other side. Goodbye.